So many people want to do well in the market and hope everything's going to work out. And then they start to realize that that's not reality at all.
When you look at your 401k portfolio, how long is that going to provide you income for? Well, we don't know. The pensions were phenomenal, but as our country and society moved away from that, now we have that level of risk and self-managed responsibilities.
For me, freedom is being able to get up, have a choose my own destiny type day to search out the things that I want to do.
Give me a little bit of an idea. Like the first time we talked, you were telling me what you did, how you train people. You just give me the 10 cents.
So many people want to do well in the market and hope everything's going to work out. And then they start to realize that that's not reality at all. And for many years, I've helped people better understand what is in our portfolio, what is a stock. And a lot of people don't know a stock from a stick. And a lot of people hope that, they're going to pick a winner and that's going to make all the dreams come true. And, the stock picking dream that everybody wants. And so people kind of treat it like a hobby, but then they're hoping it actually provides income. And so helping people realize that the reality that we live in, there's, two groups of people. There's professionals in the industry that really know how financials work. And then there's retail investors that are listening to the news, using social media to try to better understand investments and the markets. But in reality, there's like a big wall separating the two. So to help people understand what's really happening in the industry, it's also kind of like that in medicine and some other industries as well. So helping people discover what the truth is and how they can be more active in their portfolio, how they understand different products. And more importantly, though, is for them to realize the industry that we're in is really toxic. And a lot of the advisory services are simply offering or selling something that have been offered for decades. And kind of the whole retirement system itself needs to be, quote, retired.
But you did this whole background of teaching people about options trading.
Learning how to hedge. Well,
what did you do? What was the setup for that? How did you even get involved in that?
So I grew up in Houston, Texas, and oil refining, oil and gas business is really big. And we wanted to go on vacation. I was about 6 or 7. And my dad said, well, Till, we're not going on vacation because the gasoline is too expensive. And I thought, Dad, we have refineries in our backyard and we get to see them. Can we just drive Brownie the pickup truck to the refinery and get some gas? And he was like, oh, Till, the world just don't work that way. And at that moment, I think that kind of planted the seed to realize the way the world works. And there's retail investors and wholesale products and things. And so during college, whenever I was trying to pick a major, this voice inside me guided me toward wanting to help people understand whenever we buy anything in life, we're going to pay a retail price. And that's great if we want to buy something that we like. People buy fancy watches for whatever reason because it brings some connection in their life or some value to them and willing to pay for that. And they're willing to pay retail. But then whenever we look at our investments and our portfolio, not being able to get, quote, better prices, being able to buy when prices are low. How do people do that? In reality, when people make a contribution or a donation to their retirement plan or their savings plan, they're doing that dollar cost averaging again, hoping to get lucky. So during college, finished my business degree. I even got an associate's in applied science of real estate. There's even a degree in real estate. And I took a real estate agent course to become a real estate agent. And on the way to take the test to be an agent in Houston, there was 5 homes for sale on the way there. And I get to the test and there's hundreds probably of people in this big room. This was Champion School of Real Estate. It's a really big school. And as I'm taking the test, I put down the pencil and I thought, how am I going to compete in this industry where I can't really be successful as an agent if there's only 5 homes for sale and there's 50 people right next to me wanting to sell the same house? Then I started thinking about how can I do something for a career that can actually, help people, because helping people buy a home is a wonderful experience. Wanting to have a home for our family or to grow up in, or to even whenever you move to a new city to experience that, bringing that experience to someone's life. So careers is also about not only being financially successful, but that feeling in our life to bring happiness to someone. And money, does money make us happy? Well, money itself is worthless. What we can do with that brings happiness to our life. And, whether it's medical expenses, traveling, those things. And so during college, I started attending shows like big hotel casino type talks about money, Robert Kiyosaki, and all those talks about money, the mindset, the difference between wealthy people and how wealthy people think about money, how they manage risk.
Right.
And then retail investors are, most people, how they think about things and what their subconscious mind is telling them to do all the time. That led me to learn about the different markets and the financials. We all have insurance on our home. We all have a plan that if something bad happens to our home, we can protect it. We all have car insurance. We all have health insurance. How many of us have insurance on our portfolio? And some way to protect our portfolio, which led to the world of options trading. Because every professional in the industry, in any business, has some type of protection for our business. Whether it's a home or a portfolio invested in stocks, there's risk there, and we want to protect that. That led me into the world of option trading and understanding how to use that as protection and a hedge. Homes, we can rent out homes, we can make money on homes. There are option products that help people make money on their stocks. And just like in real estate, there's so much money lost when you rent out a home because, you get squatters and all this other stuff. So yes, there's always risk, but helping people understand that risk and then to be more familiar and be able to talk to an advisor or a financial professional to ask them, I know you can't use options, but what can you do to help me protect my portfolio? That's really at the end of the day. But most importantly, most people that are wanting to do better in their money financials, they're also wanting to do better in their life. So learning more about how to talk more about their investments with a professional and then applying that to other aspects of their life as well, being more healthy, living a more healthy lifestyle as well.
You know what, John, you and I had a conversation a few weeks ago regarding checking out Portfolio Medics.
That's how I warned you, right?
You did. You warned me quite a bit. Kind of resonated with you on a couple Zoom calls.
Yeah.
And so I have kind of moving towards the money management side of the business. Going back a ways, I was a firefighter paramedic for about 17 years.
Okay.
And then piggybacking on that, I owned a contracting company. So really managed a fairly large electrical contracting company in Chicago. Did a lot of work up and down Michigan Avenue, Rush Street, Oak Street, a lot of the large projects out there. Rolled that into a friend of mine's business in the early 2000s and worked underneath his umbrella for a while. And then he ended up selling to a company out of Europe. And then sad story, about 6 months later, he passed away. It was sad to see because he built a very large company and worked hard, started from garage, and then seeing it, selling it, that's everybody's dream, right? You sell to a large hedge fund out of Europe and then passing away about 6 months later. It was pretty rough.
So you've been in the industry for how long? How many years?
In the financial industry? Just a little over a year.
So what's the experience been so far?
It's been good. So really, one of the things kind of what Tilly brought up is how to protect people's portfolios. And so what I've been doing over the last year primarily has been doing a little bit of consulting on the construction side. And then on the financial side, been doing mostly annuities.
There's a lot of people in here, a lot of guys and gals that use annuities in here, right? Protect income, downside risk management, shifting that risk of an asset to an insurance carrier.
Going back into the 60s and 70s and 80s, most people had pensions. Companies provided pensions. And so you worked for a company for 20, 30, 40 years, and they gave you a pension. That was guaranteed income for life. And then we moved from that into a 401k experience where it was a self-managed fund, and those pensions went away. So when you look at your 401k portfolio, how long is that going to provide you income for?
Yeah.
Well, we don't know. The pensions were phenomenal, but as our country and society moved away from that, now we have that level of risk and self-managed responsibility. And with that responsibility, there are so many different products out in the market, from stocks, bonds, options, annuities, life insurance. And so when we look at that, there's so many options. How do people weather that? Because retirement is on the back burner. It's one of the last things that we think about. And I look at it in the case of, as an electrician, as an electrical contractor, I always did industrial work. If you have a homeowner, they get a hot tub, they're going to call every single name in the phone book to get a price on wiring that hot tub. They're going to pick out the bottom 3 contractors, and then they're asking what they'll do it for as a side job. But you know what? If my wife comes home and it is 78 degrees in the house and it's 95 degrees and humid, she's going to pick up that phone, and the first person she can get out there to fix that air conditioner, she doesn't care what it costs because she's got a piece of plastic in her purse, and she's going to pay for that. So there's a sense of urgency, right?
Yeah.
But in retirement, everybody looks at retirement as it is 20, 30, 40 years, even 10 years. You talk to a person in their 50s and they're like, I don't have to worry about retiring for another 10, 15, 20 years. There's no sense of urgency in the retirement aspect of it. And so as advisors, I think one of the things that we have to look at is we have to help people realize that this is a true process that they're going to enter in a period of time, and they have to plan for that.
Yeah.
Yeah, the industry has got people to wait until, 5 years before to deal with it, if you will. Everything is all very well orchestrated by the professionals in the industry, Wall Street, conditioning people to wait that long.
Frank, how do you personally, how do you create urgency? Part of what we do as money managers or, advisors, as you want to call it, we have to find the proverbial spear in their chest. How do you go about creating urgency?
That is one of the things that I am struggling with and trying to think about. But one of the things I think do is stories. I try to talk to people about their stories. I also try to talk about what their dreams and goals are, and then ask them, what would it feel like if they didn't reach that goal? What would it feel like if they didn't reach that plan that they have? So you talk to somebody and they say, well, I'm looking at retiring in 5 years. Okay. What are you planning to do today to help you reach that goal in 5 years? And you ask them that, and then you say, what would it feel like if that goal didn't happen? I try to bring them through those things, and then what would I need to do to help them realize that goal?
Give us the 10 seconds. Why Portfolio Medics? You got 1,000 other firms.
Because in looking in the industry and doing research and having a choice, after learning a lot about different investment companies and registered investment advisor services, I discovered that Portfolio Medics was really focused on people, and the people being able to have a portfolio that could do the best that we could do for them, protecting them from market, catastrophes or the next recession, so they don't lose 10 years of their life savings.
Jason, why? Why Portfolio Medics?
We met 2017. We both auditioned for this horrendous band that was a master class in how to do things as far as attribute and how not to do things as far as attribute goes. And you saw the drive, the herding of the cats, all of the things that I did and just took on. And you were like, this is what I do here. So why don't you go get licensed to come work with me?
Yeah.
So, yeah.
Yeah, you're looking at it for your own reasons.
I'm looking at it, right, John. And I think that, some of the things that attracted me to it were the independence, boutique, client-centered, and managing risk.
To me, it's just about the community. It's about all the different personalities. And it's fun. When I showed up yesterday, my mom, this morning, she came out all bright-eyed and she's like, oh my God, they're all just like you. I said, I know. That's super cool, isn't it? It's like, but it dawns on me. It like brings a tear to my eye, because I'm like, all the things that JB and I have done and all the things that we try to do, it isn't like, we're not trying to rule the world. We're not trying to be the best performance. We're just trying to connect and make a difference.
Ooh.
That's it.
Yeah.
And there's always going to be someone better numbers or better data or so on and so forth. But if you don't have that connection in life, then what's life about?
So next question, Frank, when somebody says freedom, what does that mean to you?
When somebody says freedom, for me, the ability to enjoy your day as you decide, that comes with a lot of responsibility. That doesn't mean that we're free to do everything and anything, right? I can't drive my car down the street doing 85 miles an hour because I would hurt somebody. So freedom to me means having that ability to do and live life as I choose fit, but within the confines of a functioning society. And hopefully as people with good character, we bring value to society.
Right on. Tilly.
Freedom to me is experiencing life and having the things in our life that we've maybe only dreamt of, and to have that dream become reality.
Jason, what's freedom to you?
For me, freedom is being able to get up, have a choose my own destiny type day, to search out the things that I want to do that bring value to me. When we're on stage, I talk about this a lot with people. I view a Floyd Nation performance as playing volleyball. There's an energy ball that the audience throws up to the stage. And then as a band, we collectively take that ball, throw it back up, and spike it back over the other side. And it just keeps growing and growing and growing as the night goes on. And that energy ball is soul filling, and for both the crowd there and the band as well.
You're experiencing a level of freedom that you would never experience by yourself.
Yeah. I think, it comes back to, my gym is in my garage, and there's a flag in there from Jocko Willink, and he says discipline equals freedom. And I think that's, a great comment, is that as we have discipline and we put discipline in our daily lives, whether that be on the financial side, whether it be on the work side, whether it be on our fitness side, that discipline is what helps create the freedom in our lives.
Mm-hmm.
Absolutely.
I agree with that.